Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to I Hate Your Movie, where oh shit. Episode
Intro
ni-
music.
episode 99.
Drop the beat.
Drop the beat. Jimmy, do the music. Where we inflict movies on each other for your entertainment. This week we watched Bone Tomahawk, a 2015 Western starring Kurt Russell, and I'm not looking up the rest of the cast right now.
No.
Mr. Lost.
Mr. Lost.
Mr. Lost.
David Arquette.
Oh yeah, David Arquette. Matthew Fox, Patrick Wilson.
Yep.
Richard Jenkins. Sid Haig, the real superstar of this film.
Okay.
We'll get into it. And it's 7.1 on IMDb, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. just preluding something.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Bone Tomahawk?
Like Patrick Wilson in this film. No. Oh, I had it in my head a second ago because I didn't write it down.
He's got impotence like Night Owl in The Watchmen.
Like Patrick Wilson, this film has a problem with the pace it moves.
Oh. Yet he survives at the end. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Just like this movie.
Thank you for finishing my one sentence review.
Yeah. I was just reading it from your phone. I love this film.
Yeah?
It's many things that I love about it. I love how low budget it is, but it uses its low budget to the best it could.
Mm-hmm.
I love the writing, even though that could be a negative. Everyone's doing the Joss Whedon, snappy dialogue, snaps at each other, and like coming up with clever comebacks on the spot. Could be a negative. I liked it in this because it wasn't too overdone.
Okay.
And I like that it's just a little story. It's not the world is ending. There's a blue laser in the sky. The lizard's gonna turn everyone into lizards. I just like the little story, and it's very satisfying at the end. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
It was fun. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I will say this. As the film went on, I made several predictions of, oh, he's going to die. Oh, no, that guy's going to live, obviously. He's gonna, and almost none of them were true. Yeah. Almost none of them came out to be true in the end.
Yeah.
Apart from Patrick Wilson.
Really? You thought he was going to live?
Yeah. He was always going to be the person at the end that came and saved the day.
When I first saw this, I thought that he definitely was going to die.
I did change my mind on it, though.
Mm-hmm.
At the very start, I thought he was going to die. And then when they started leaving him behind, I thought, okay, no, he's not.
I was the opposite.
Yeah?
I thought because the movie felt very cynical to me and like kind of have this theme of showing you like human darkness, subverting your expectations to be worse.
Okay.
So I thought they just, as they're on their way out, they're just going to see his corpse. I was like, it's going to be like super nihilistic. I thought that was the tone, but at the end, it's not.
No, there's a bit right at the start of the film where he's got this letter that he wrote to his wife.
That's true, yeah.
And he picks it up at the thing, and I think he even says out loud, there's no one in the room, but I think he even says out loud, like, I'm going to read this to you in person. I was like, you're going to die with that letter in your hand. I can tell you now.
Well, everyone who's listening to this podcast is familiar with my famous movie terms that make no sense, which is my leg hurts kind of movie.
Yeah.
This isn't my leg hurts kind of movie, even though it is a my leg hurts movie.
No, my leg hurts. You describe my leg hurts as like a coming of age kind of.
Yeah,
movie.
well, no, I describe my leg hurts as a slice of life.
Okay, yeah, okay, fair enough.
But in this one, someone's leg hurting, and that's most of the plot. And it's not a my leg hurts movie. I just want to clarify. My very confusing system of naming genres still is perfectly valid. It is a bit slow.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning. But I think that's on purpose. Because it's an ensemble cast. And I think it does a very good job of setting up all the characters individually. And also how they interact with each other, and that's going to be important later in the story.
Yeah, I agree. At the very start of it, I was very unengaged with, like, I didn't care that the guy had fallen off the roof and that his wife was upset with him because he was upset about being at home and she wanted him to be at home. And I was just like, I don't care. Like, I don't know you people. Like, I don't care about your drama. And that's clearly not what this film is about anyway. Or if that is what this film is about, why am I watching Little House on the Prairie? I don't care. And yeah, there was a lot of like deputy just kind of like meandering through town or something at some point.
Which deputy? The old one?
Yeah, the old one.
He was my favorite character. I loved him. We'll get into that later because he's just a lost old guy who's a deputy sheriff.
Backup deputy sheriff.
Backup deputy sheriff.
He has valid opinions.
Yes.
That was my favorite expression in the whole thing. Is the official opinion of the backup deputy that you should run and hide, kind of thing.
There's a lot of funny moments in this movie, surprisingly, especially in dialogue.
The very beginning, it's David Arquette.
Yeah, and Sid Haig, that he's the guy with the beard.
Oh, okay.
He's a famous kind of B-movie actor.
Mm-hmm.
House of a Thousand Corpses, like Rob Zombie kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's always has that look, the big beard and big eyes, because he was born with it.
He doesn't just put them in.
No,
Just for else.
It's not fake. Yeah, it starts like a proper horror film.
Well, it starts with David Arquette murdering some people.
Yeah, they're looting some corpses.
Well, they make them corpses first, then
Well.
they loot the corpses.
But then they go to the spooky cave.
Well, they're running away from the police.
The police.
The police. They hear horses coming, and they figure it's the police. So then they run into the hills to hide.
Sid Haig dies because he gets shot with a bow and arrow.
Mhm.
And then the guy runs away, and he comes into Kurt Russell's tiny little town, Bright Hope, population 6. But there's a mayor and the deputy sheriff and the backup deputy sheriff.
268.
No, it had 6.
No, it said 268.
I know, but that's why the cheapness of the
Oh, I
movie.
see. I actually see what you're getting at now. Sorry.
It was 6. So 6 people. No one else lived there. It was 6 people.
It's the party that the whole film revolves around and one barman.
Yeah. Let's talk about funny stuff.
Funny stuff.
I loved there's little moments in this film that made me chuckle, which was Matthew Fox, Mr. Lost.
Mr. Lost.
Mr. Lost.
I call him Mr. Fancy.
Mr. Fancy as
He's
well.
super fancy.
Dandy.
Yeah.
Mr. Dandy.
Dandy Fox.
Dandy Fox. He goes into this bar and then no one's there, just a barman and one guy at the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says on the piano, the guy on the piano is just wasted. And then on the piano it says the prices and like 1 song for 5 cents, 2 songs for 8 cents, 3 songs for 15 cents or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, why isn't like 3 songs should be like get like cheaper? It's like because it takes effort and this and that. And then Matthew Fox pays the guy to play a song, and then he turns around the sign. He says starting fee of whiskey. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, I know. You really laughed at that. It's funny. I've always thought that, like, if I was a busker, because I have no musical talent whatsoever, the kind of thing, if people paid me, I would just have a sign, and the sign wouldn't say, like, oh, like, £2 to tip. It would be, like, £2 to make me stop for 1 minute.
You can do that now. You can. In fact, I think that might be a good, like, business model. Because you really annoy people. Let's say you're like you near a queue somewhere where there's a lot of queue, unmoving queue, and you play some really annoying music that's out of tune.
I just had an idea.
2, 3, 4.
So you can do that now.
£2 to stop.
You don't need talent. In fact, talent would take away.
Well, that's
from
what
the
I'm
money.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's because I don't have any talent. That's
No.
how I would make my money.
I see. Tiny little quips, or like someone comes up with Kurt Russell in the morning, and he's like, "What are you doing in my breakfast?" I enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's just like it's not like haha hilarious, but it's like you could write, "Oh, what are you doing here? What is the displeasure of meeting you?" That's not a word. What an unpleasure of meeting you, mister. No, he said, what are you doing in my breakfast? And that says it all, but it is also unique.
Yeah, I took a lot of meaning from that in terms of like traditional religious thing, because you break your fast. That was the point of it, right?
Yeah,
That's how the word comes from. So I
yeah,
thought it was kind of like why are you interfering with my semi-religious thing?
could be.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I just thought it was a little quippy line. Establishes the time of day. Established he's annoyed. Established he's organized.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. The guy at the beginning,
David Arquette.
David Arquette. What else was he in?
He's not been in much. He was in Scream. That's where he met Courtney Cox, who's
Okay.
his wife.
That's how he's famous.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
He was in stuff before that, but yeah, that's why he's famous now. I mean, you don't see much of Courtney Cox these days, really.
Yeah,
She's in Scream. That's about it.
it's the old people collector, that franchise. It's a nursing home. Scream in a nursing home.
Just someone in a Scream mask in a wheelchair, just slowly Zimmer frame.
They call you on your old dumb phone, and they're trying to ask you what's your favorite scary movie, and then you forgot how to pick up the phone. Which button? So David Arquette comes to town, and he buries some money that he collected from the dead people that he deaded, and he goes into the bar and starts drinking, and then because it's a town of 6 people, that really raises some eyebrows when there's a 7th person who acts all shifty, comes in and buries some stuff and goes to drink.
I thought that was a bit of a silly thing, really. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, he buries it under a tree and it's a marker of where you can find it later, but it's like in the town, you know? It's where he can be seen. That's a terrible criminal move to walk into like the middle of town and bury something under a tree.
And then they go question him. They shoot him. Kurt Russell shoots him.
I really like that whole scene, to be honest with
Yeah?
you. Yeah. I like how the camera barely moves. It's kind of a wide shot.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the scene where he goes to run and he gets shot in the leg. The whole bit where he goes to run, gets shot in the leg, rolls on the floor a bit, gets picked up, moves out. Then Mr. Dandy Fox talks to the barman a little bit, puts his hat on and walks out. And camera never moves. It's like watching like a play.
Yeah. But in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It is, at the beginning, is very zoomed out, the camera. And it works in like an ensemble cast, and you kind of can't tell who's supposed to be the main character.
Yeah.
And I think that helps by the end, makes it really surprising of who survives.
Yeah, and I think you can only get away with that if you have a collection of really good actors. You know, if you gave them the choice, can we spend all our money on actors or can we spend all the money on extras and sets? I think he made the right choice.
I think it also wouldn't work if the whole movie was like that. But then it becomes more like a variety after they start their journey. It focuses on individual characters and in individual moments and things like that, you know, and it becomes less play-like. Kurt Russell shoots him in the leg.
In the what?
In the leg. Leg. And
the police shoots him in the league.
the police. The Klingons. And they take him to the jail. I don't know who's this character I'm doing.
Okay, so this is where, just after the guy shoots in the leg, this is where I had a real problem with the pacing at the beginning of this film. Because, you know, you've got the murder at the start, and then you introduce Patrick Wilson and his wife, and you've met them already. Then it goes to this bar, and they go pick up the guy. You have a scene before that where the backup deputy and the sheriff eat soup together, and that's kind of, okay, cool. This guy's in town, though, and you've just been told he's in town. Maybe just put down your soup and crack on with the film a little bit. Then they go to the bar, and you're like, right, now we're off to a start. Let's go. And then shoots and scene, everyone walks out, and then, bam, it cuts to Patrick Wilson reading a letter to his wife. And they're like, oh, you wrote me such a lovely poem. Can you just read it to me? I don't want to read a poem. I don't know. But let me get your leg raised and I'll go, I don't care. Like, I've met these people. I don't need to know all of this. Like, that whole scene could have just been a knock on the door. Do you want to come? Yeah, cool. Let's go.
Well, that was pretty much it when after they knock on the door. But what you're referring is that little scene because he was embarrassed to read the poem to his wife. So he reads it out loud to himself.
Yes.
I thought that was like a nice little tender moment, and because their relationship also is very they bicker with each other a lot. and you wouldn't get any real genuine emotion otherwise. He says she looks better than most cows. Most cows? You never met Bessie.
That's the point. I was like, come on, like get to the point.
I think that's important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would argue that everything before that, fair enough.
And so Samantha, who's the nurse. Oh, and the deputy sheriff gets kidnapped.
Yeah. So the deputy was one of the few people in this film I correctly predicted he was going to die.
Did you see how he's gonna die? I don't think anyone can see how he's gonna die.
I have very strong emotions about that that we'll get to at the end. It's not positive. Yeah, I have very strong emotions about that when we get to the end. But yeah, we've got this ensemble cast of like fairly famous people. Everyone in it, really, you can point and go, oh, I know that guy from something, but let me just Google what it is. But you know them, yeah? And then this guy shows up who has never been seen before or since in cinema. And I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen to him.
He doesn't even have a close-up once.
He's just in the background. Oh, I'm the deputy. Oh, it's not going to end well for you.
You need a damsel. And another damsel.
It just, immediately. Oh, it's just, his entire thing should have like the funeral march in the background. Dum 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 dum. What's going on?
So they put the whole town together. All 6 of them. The mayor shows up. He won in a runoff election. He got 3 votes.
And only 2 of them were him and his wife.
Yeah. So they figure out who was behind this based on the tools left behind. These bone tools, really like ancient and weird looking. Almost like a caveman. I think that's what they were going for as well, to be honest. It was like this uncontacted tribe kind of feel.
Yeah.
The American Indian guy comes in saying, this is not us. This is not us.
This is some like incestuous tribe.
Yeah.
That kind of.
Yeah. Do you believe him? Do you believe this movie is not racist? I've read a lot about whether this movie is a racist or not.
Okay.
I feel like it's an edge case.
Edge case.
Yeah. It's on the edge of racism.
What, this film?
Yeah. I feel like if that guy didn't come in and say, this is not us, then we might be arguing that it is. I've read American Indian people commenting on it online that it is racist, and I've read other American Indian people online that it is not racist.
Okay.
So I would say that it does not promote already existing stereotypes.
Okay.
It comes up with like a new kind of thing that is more of a stereotype in very South America and or Africa. So that would be my thing for it.
Yeah, I think it does a very decent job, in my opinion, of separating itself from just being, this is what American Indians are like, to this is a very small tribe that nobody even interacts with. They are very backwards, they're very incestuous. This is not what we're saying everyone's like, but this is what these people are like.
And I feel like the movie does a really good job at showing parallels between the quote-unquote cultured Western people and the quote-unquote uncultured people. Because they kill in cold blood too. And they do horrible things as well. Sometimes it's shown back-to-back on purpose.
Yeah.
To kind of make you think about that as like, and then they talk about, do you know the manifest destiny thing? It's an American term saying when they were just on the east side of the continent, they said, oh, manifest destiny, that means we're gonna colonize the rest of it, with lots of people living in there and stuff. And they mentioned that a lot, and they mentioned that they are frontier town, so that they're right on the edge of like discovering new peoples and cultures and things like that. I think that was on purpose to kind of contrast and make you question whether that's a good idea or not. There's a really, I'm not gonna say funny line later,
Okay.
because you're gonna call me out. It's like a very sarcastic, dark line that's very ironic later, that like really showcases that. Mr. Dandy Fox, he says he killed a lot of Indians. And that's his like big boast.
Well, that's a dark boast or a grim boast.
That's a grim boast, and he says it's not a boast but a fact. He's an interesting character, even though he's a piece of shit. It's annoying because other than that, he's one of the most rational people in the whole group. Like he lays out like the little bells if they have any intruders, and he's thinking logically, rationally, except that.
Well, I mean, Yeah, the argument is he's too rational when it comes to like safety. So when he murders the people later that are just kind of air quotes looking for help or whatever, you know, his rational brain says, right, they are a party of people that are coming to attack us. So bang bang.
Yeah.
He's rational for most of it, and
It's just, yeah, his rationality that is leading him to do horrible things. They call this uncontacted tribe Troglodytes. And there's other things that like clash against, and I'm not sure this is a mistake. They clash against the Troglodytes' brutal nature and like low intelligence is what they're hinting at. Because they did plan out like a 5-day journey to get to that guy and, you know, steal some people and leave some warnings. So I don't know if that's intentional by the writer, because you know you see the journey back is like a long journey.
yeah.
And even if you're a big, muscly caveman thing, you got more stamina, but still 5 days
5 days carrying 2 people.
carrying 2 people. I don't know if that's a plot hole or not, or genuinely the writer's going like, these people are not as stupid as you think they are.
Maybe. Then there's only 12 people in the tribe. There's 12 people in the tribe and they carried 3 people back.
Yes.
Wow. Seems like more of a plot hole than anything else to me.
Maybe.
They're good trackers, you would think. They'd be able to track people, track David Arquette through the desert.
Yeah, it's not about the tracking. It is about like planning out specifically your journey for like a 5-day thing, you know? So here we go. The big party. The big rescue party. Bunch of old men. And a guy who wants to kill everyone.
Yeah. Again, that kind of seemed like a weird plot hole to me as well.
Yeah.
Because there's this like cold, rational guy who doesn't particularly care much about anything. He cares about his honor, maybe. He cares about his image. But, oh yeah, I was the person who knocked on the door to get the nurse. So that means I have to travel 5 days across the desert to save her. It just didn't seem like a rational thing to do.
I mean, he was a raging racist.
Okay.
So his motivation was to kill the other culture. That's it. What else are you going to do in a western town?
There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Sit around and play cards all day? No. There's people to kill in the hills.
They didn't even have Game Boys with Tetris on.
Not a single Pokemon card.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
be played. Could have made Jenga.
We changed this movie. The man who invented Jenga.
Just Kurt Russell, someone sitting there whittling wood. Kurt Russell bursts in. It's like, Samantha's been taken into the hills. We have to go rescue her. Do you want to come? No.
I've never seen a tower so big. And it's missing so many blocks. How is it still standing? It's a miracle. 2 Mexican guys show up. They put their arms in the air and say, well, we're unarmed. We just got lost. Or they say something like that.
Yeah.
And then, like, obviously the party's like unsure. Like, are they raiders? What are they? And then in this uncertainty, Mr. Dandy Fox shoots them. And they have like a giant discussion on like, well, you don't know what they wanted. You don't know if they were raiders. You don't know anything. There's like a legitimate discussion. And then Patrick Wilson wakes up. He's like kind of delirious from his leg injury plus drugs and stuff. And he's like, what happened? And Chicory says, Mr. Dandy Fox just educated 2 Mexicans on the meaning of manifest destiny.
Oh, is that what it was? I caught that line, but I didn't really know what it meant.
That's what it means. This is what manifest destiny is. You can dress it up and make it sound like a big thing. Manifest destiny. Oh, it's usually paired with an image of like a Lady Liberty going through like the continental United States. Like, oh, you know. No, this is manifest destiny. It's just killing random people who come across you.
Kurt Russell takes offense to the whole situation. Dandy Fox says, well, you can question my morals later. We've got to go. And Kurt Russell's like, well, you don't have any morals to question, so fine.
Yeah. He's got a very strong moral code, Kurt Russell. He starts out with like, he never shoots anyone in the face the first time. He always shoots people in the leg. He always disarms people. And it's very clear from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, the scene I got that from Kurt Russell the most is the very beginning when he's with his wife and his wife's trying to talk him out of going. And he's very kind of, no, I have to because I'm the sheriff.
Yeah,
kind of.
I've got this code.
When I describe it, it sounds kind of cheesy, but it's not. You really get like this sense of like him as a person.
Yeah, he's like Captain America.
Yeah, he is kind of like that kind of vibe, yeah. Captain Brighthope.
Population 6. That's another funny thing. I just the whole movie is funny quotes to me. I love it.
See, we remember this film very differently.
Do we?
Yeah. See, I think the comedy got me through on the watch on the day, but I remember like the darker scenes. I remember the bits that are like much more impactful and well acted.
I think they are coming, but I think this is more of the middle of the movie.
Because they just soon after the scene with the Mexicans, they actually do get raided, and it never tells you kind of whether it was the same group of people. But it leaves you to kind of wonder if he was right or wrong. The scene I remember the most from like the middle of the film is where his horse gets broken.
Oh
and he has to shoot it.
He gets emotional.
He does.
For the first time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And it shows that he has emotions, and that's a really powerful, interesting scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really remember much of the quips.
I remember the darker stuff later, because it gets really dark, and then there's no fun. No fun allowed at the end.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Because at this point, the film kind of, like you say, turns. It goes into a darker tone, and it kind of goes into this film about endurance. And like Patrick Wilson on his crutch trying to make the journey. Here's a question. Is he right to carry on? Obviously, at the end, spoiler alert, he saves the day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there might be some kind of toxic masculinity in this. Which is like, I'm not going to let the officials rescue my wife. Even though I'm totally useless and I'm holding them down, if anything.
Yeah, but there's a really funny bit where he kind of like, I'm going to get a head start and I'm going to walk for 2 hours ahead of you. I just found it hilarious if he went the wrong way. It just sees them on the ridge over the way. I was like, shit.
Welcome to New York. Oh no, I went the wrong way.
Canadian border.
Yeah.
Gets to the Canadian border. Oh, we can sort that leg out for you, eh? It's free here.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you.
Me like. Well, what do you think?
What do I think?
Do you think he should have stayed behind?
Yeah, he should have set up camp somewhere and just kind of tried to live and wait for them to come back.
Yeah.
And if they didn't come back, just go home.
Even in the back, you could have organized some sort of like backup, maybe. Or something. Because in the morning, they're like, right, let's go right now. They do a little prep, but that's it. So he could have stayed behind and organized like a backup party to look for them as well.
Yeah. I think the most confusing of all of it from then onwards is they keep mentioning these 4 stones.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to put 4 stones on the path. And then later you see them put 4 stones down and it just looks like the path. It doesn't look any different from the... I thought it was going to stack 4 stones on top of each other so it kind of as a marker. But no, he just lays down 4 stones vaguely near each other. Not even in a line, in like a small circle. Oh yeah, he'll know that. Good, he's going to spot that a mile away.
I thought it was in a line.
No, he wasn't.
No?
I swear it was in like a little circle.
Well, that's never going to happen. In nature, 4 stones next to each other.
Yeah, it's like a gravel dirt path. There's stones everywhere.
That's what
Literally
I mean.
a stony path. Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. I'm being facetious. I think people in the old times had more knowledge. You know, they'd realized moss only grows in the north and things like that.
Okay.
I know that.
Yeah,
I'm a smart boy. So maybe 4 stones were more like, we've been here. You're still on the right track. You're not going to Canada yet. I'm sorry. You should have. What if he goes to Canada? This is the alternative movie. He goes to Canada and it's like this.
It's an alternative movie away from the man making Jenga and
Yeah.
away from...
It's like, he makes it to Canada in this desert. Like, it's days and days and days. And he arrives to the Canadian border and it's this sci-fi futuristic city with like flying cars. So, movie takes a dark turn.
Yeah. I missed the part where it explains how they make that sound.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because there's something in their throat by the looks of it that spits out water. But why? And how? And what?
I mean, because culture.
But it's in their throat.
Yeah, like you can surgically insert things.
Yeah, they don't have them. There's 12 of them. They don't have the medical know-how for that.
You know?
I mean, to be fair, there's 12 of them, and that's twice the amount of the town of Bright Hope.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is that what I like about this movie is that it makes you question who's really civilized and who isn't. And one was like the shooting of the Mexicans, and then the other one was planning the journey and things like that. And I think this might be another thing, just like ancient Egyptians operated as well, and they would seem as barbaric to us as the troglodytes to these people. So I don't know whether it would actually work as like a big booming creature sound that you can do. I don't think so. But like surgically inserting something, maybe.
At this point, it just completely made me question whether or not they were going for some kind of like supernatural element. I just thought that the idea was that they're not even human.
I think that's what the movie is trying to sell at the beginning, and then Patrick Wilson finds the little thing in their throat and he takes it out and he
But
makes
it's made
the
of
same sound.
bone.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem to me like it was surgically implanted. It seemed to me like they were a creature that is born like that.
No, it was implanted. Yeah.
But it was flushed to his skin.
Yeah, it was. You could see it. You could see it even when they were alive.
And when
It's poking
Patrick
out.
Wilson pulls it out, it has like tendons.
Yeah, because it grew over it after they put it in. I guess that's the idea.
I don't know, like I said, it seemed to me like they were going for these people aren't human.
So Kurt Russell, the backup deputy, Chicory, Dandy Fox, they go up to the cave.
So yeah, it's at this point.
Mm.
I hope you weren't too attached to any particular characters.
I was really attached to the deputy sheriff who barely see his face. And then you see more than his face.
Yeah, and then they get captured and taken
Then they get
to
captured.
a cave.
With like Flintstones type bars, jail bars. They're like, you could just kick that open.
Yeah, surely. Every time they did it, because he just puts it up against the thing and then just like with his hand,
Yeah, with
taps
his
a
hand.
nail in the wall.
Yeah.
And what really annoyed me, oh my god, it annoyed me so much because like there's a couple of times where they try and like bash down the bars by their shoulder, you know, and they don't attack the bar they went in. the one that's clearly fucking loose. They're in the middle of it trying to bash in this bar that's been there all the whole time. Come on.
Maybe the troglodytes invented that thing that you put the nail into. What's that called? You know?
Oh, they're like the raw plug.
Yeah, they invented the rope plug.
I have a confession to that. I don't actually know what that's called.
Okay.
Yeah, like it sounds like that's like raw plug. Is it a raw plug? Is it a rule plug? Is it a raw plug? I don't know.
Okay.
I just say raw plug and then hope that nobody questions me on it.
It's that thing that you screw things into and it's stuck in your wall.
It's called a raw plug.
Yeah.
But
Rope plug.
I couldn't.
Plug.
If I googled it, I wouldn't know what to spell.
Yeah.
I would just be like RAW plug, I suppose. Raw plug.
ROAR plug.
It could be, yeah.
Roar plug.
Could be. I don't know.
So they invented it.
Yes.
And he just has to, that's it, and that holds it in.
That's it. You know, someone's over there playing Jenga.
So let's talk about the scene everyone remembers this movie from. The horrible Final Destination type scene, which not a lot of things make me squeamish, but for some reason that one did. It's probably because the movie is so good leading up to it, and there's a bit of a gore, a bit of blood, but there's nothing like that leading up to it. If Final Destination was mostly just like a character drama or whatever, and then it squashes a big tree comes into someone's window and smashes their face in, then that would be shocking. But the movies start like that usually.
Yeah.
Should we describe what happens? It's kind of gnarly.
Yeah. I don't really want to. We do need to, because most of my complaints hinge on it
Yeah.
being awful. Yeah.
I would say it got weird emotions out of me. It was squeamish, which already is weird at a movie because I've seen everything. And then the other one was just like, it made me laugh because it was just so over the top.
Yeah.
It was so crazy that it was just like, the surprise of it made me laugh. I'm like, wow, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah. So basically, they scalp him first of all,
Yeah.
and that's pretty graphic.
That's not the end of that, because that's when
they nail it into his mouth.
nail it into his mouth.
Yeah,
I
they
thought
got
they
like
just shove it into his mouth.
they had
scalp.
like a bone thing. They
I
nailed
don't
it
remember
into
that.
his mouth. Yeah.
But I was not looking. Yeah, that was a bit funny when they just shove it into his mouth. I'm like, poor guy. Just leave it alone. Just torture him normally.
And then they hang him upside down by his legs.
Yes.
And they hack in between his legs.
Yeah.
And they do like 3 hits, and then they just pull him in half.
Yeah. What's your problem with that then?
What's my problem with it? It's just gratuitous and pointless. Like, the whole rest of the film isn't like that.
Yeah.
And the film has several opportunities to be like that, and it steers away from them. And it does it in clever ways. It does it in ways that horrible things have happened, but it gives like the respect of the audience to just know, it's fine, we'll leave it there. But this doesn't. Even the very first scene could have been a little bit of a heads up of what might happen in the film. Because David Arquette, when he cuts the man's throat, you don't see it. He puts the knife to it, you see a little bit of blood, and then it cuts to him sitting on top, looking from the ground up, and you hear the
Cool.
and it's grim, and you're like, okay, I know what's happening, fair enough. You have shown me a horrible thing without showing me the horrible thing. And then at the end, for no reason at all, it just shows you the horrible thing. And it's pointless and unnecessary.
You see, I like it, but for the exact same reason you dislike it.
Okay.
Because I feel like it is building up to that. First of all, like in a writing sense, you want like a real threat that you haven't seen before. Especially introduced right at the end. When you're like, oh, this shit is real kind of moment. You want that. You could have achieved it in different ways, but I think what is good in this is that it feels deserved more than like a Final Destination film. Where that's what you go in for. But in this movie, you go in for the characters and the story, and it is like a shocking moment that will stay with you. And I feel like that's why it's deserved, that amount of gore and horribleness.
Yeah, I'd see your point. I disagree, obviously.
Yeah.
But it took away from the plot and the film for me. The only good bit about it, and again, you didn't need to see it graphically, but the only good bit about that scene is Kurt Russell's speech he gives. And then that affects later the deputy's speech when Kurt Russell's in trouble. When Kurt Russell's there and saying, the cavalry's on the way. They're going to ride in and kill all these motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. Is he Samuel L. Jackson?
Direct quote, yeah.
These motherfuckers.
I've had enough of these motherfucking troglodytes in this motherfucking cave.
Now I want Samuel L. Jackson in this film. Remake it with Samuel L. Jackson.
I found it quite funny. Like darkly funny in the end when the backup deputy, Kurt Russell's getting killed. And the backup deputy's like, I will avenge you. I will avenge you. Like, mate, you're in a locked cage. He's not falling for that. The point is he's supposed to believe it, not that you're saying it.
Yeah. Well, but the movie knows this.
Yeah.
Because that guy just talks bullshit the whole journey. He's just a kind of throwaway character that survives the whole thing somehow. That really horrible scene, I think it was important for the script and for the story. It is to establish like the stakes.
But you know the stakes. So many people have died at this point, horribly.
You need to up the ante a little bit.
Nah.
At least a little bit. Maybe not that crazy amount. It is a bit crazy.
Yeah. But again, you can show a horrible thing happening without showing it.
Mm-hmm.
You can up the stakes by you put the deputy in a cage. Bad guy walks into the cage. And then, I don't know, Kurt Russell gets an arm thrown in his face.
Yeah.
Something like that. Or even make it grosser than that. Make it a de-skinned arm.
Him like one of those pigs with the apples in on the fire. Slowly turning.
Or rotisserie.
Yeah.
Rotisserie deputy.
Yeah.
Who was he again? Oh, I don't know. He was only here for 5 minutes. Oh well.
Yeah. You hit on something accidentally that I wanted to talk about and forgot, which is how great the sound mixing in this movie is, and like the sounds. Mm-hmm. I love the sound. And then you're right, at the beginning it was barely graphic, but the fucking sound effects are so nasty. They're so nasty, and you put an image in your head and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. You really hear the cartilage.
Yeah. Sound was amazing in this movie. One of my favorite sound mix, whatever you want to call it, sound editing.
Absolutely.
As an interesting thing, I don't know if you called that, So they have some whiskey with opium in it.
Yep.
Which is really potent. And then they're trying to make the troglodytes drink it. And then they don't hatch this plan, they just show you. And at the first you're like, what's going on? Because the old backup deputy and Kurt Russell are fighting over this flask. Like, no, I want to drink it. I want to drink it. Oh, that's clever. Because they want the troglodytes to take it. Because that's how they show that it's something important.
I'm telling you now, right?
Yeah.
If I'm a prison guard and I walk into a prison and there's 2 inmates fighting over like a drink, I ain't taking that and drinking it. Like, I'm just not. Okay.
I don't know if the analogy is the same, because for the troglodyte, it'd be something he's never seen before.
Well, you
like
wouldn't
a
even know
flask.
it as a flask. So
Yeah.
why would they drink from it?
Well,
They would just be like, oh, shiny thing.
well, they
throw it
probably
away.
heard it thing around and they twist it off and they smell it. They take a while.
I don't think, again, like if I was completely new to whiskey, I wouldn't smell whiskey and be like, oh, I'd drink that.
They had a pretty mixed approach, because there was 3 of them that smelt it. One drank a little bit, one didn't drink any, and one drank a lot. I felt like that was a good like mix of like, yeah, there's the daring one, and there's the guy who follows the daring one. Like, I did it too. And there's the guy who's like, oh, fuck that shit. I don't want to drink that.
It's like Goldilocks.
Yeah. This is the Goldilocks of troglodytes. Episode 2.
That's your episode title.
Goldilocks of troglodytes. Say that 5 times faster. Goldilocks of troglodytes. Goldilocks of troglodytes. Goldilocks of troglodytes.
My favourite thing about the end of this film
Okay.
is they bring into the story a countdown. They say, right, there's 12 left.
Oh yeah.
I've killed 1 here, you've killed 2 there, because the deputy tells them how many there are, or the
Yes.
wife tells them how many there are.
Or the wife, actually, Samantha. Yeah.
So she says, right, there's 12. 2 of them are pregnant and out the back. Right, so you count them out. And then they count out how many people they've killed between them.
Yeah.
And now you know how many Patrick Wilson's got to get through. And I really thought that was a really interesting kind of like dynamic, and you can kind of play along, you know?
They can the troglodytes.
Yeah. I thought that was fantastic. When he's sleeping and he kills one, you're like, right, now 4 left.
For me, when that comes in, that was the very end.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, when they escape the cave and they hear 3 gunshots, and like that was the last 3.
Yeah, a bit presumptuous, if you ask me, that he's headshotted 3 cavemen in a row.
Yeah, I was thinking he might keep one for himself.
Yeah.
Because he was such in a horrible state of being open. There's a flask inside you, a hot flask in your body that was in the fire.
Well, at least it's, hygienic. Backup deputy picks up a rock to arm himself with.
Yeah.
Here's 3 shots, and there's, forget that then.
Credits.
Yeah. But again, like I say, it's a bit presumptuous that, if Dandy Man Shooter Boy couldn't kill any of them while he was lying almost dead on the floor,
Yeah.
then to kill 3 people back to back, because you hear a poof.
They didn't quite understand how the guns work. The one that Dandy Fox kills, that troglodyte ran into the gun pretty much. I think you can safely assume that means they're all dead. So it's all Chicory, the wife, and Patrick Wilson and his bum leg
Yep.
survived the 3 unlikeliest survivors to survive this whole thing. And the 3 least hateful ones.
Yeah. Maybe that's the lesson.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, no, Kurt Russell's not the least. Probably the least of all of them.
I don't know. I feel like he had his own moral code, but that moral code also included, yes, we're expanding the United States.
Okay.
I think so. I think he was more on the line.
Yeah.
I think his moral code was just like about justice, about like, we don't just straight up kill people. We're gonna shoot them in the leg, cripple them for life, and then question them. And then if they say the wrong thing, then we hang them in pain. That's justice for you. That's good old Western American justice.
Good old American justice.
American justice. Freedom. Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk.
What? I'm scared.
You're scared?
You said a lot of nice things about this movie.
Yeah.
And then you're going to rate it like a 3 out of 10.
Okay.
That's my worry. I was like, is this a Western you liked? Rick Evans?
I'm going to give it a 6.
Whoa.
Yeah. It lost points early at the beginning with its pacing, and it lost a point at the end with the gratuitous violence.
Sure.
You might have even hit a 7 again if it wasn't for that. gratuitous violence.
Fuck. So it's a Western you liked.
5 it is then.
Ah.
It's a 6. I probably wouldn't. It's a tough one because it's probably one of the only like +5s I've ever given that I wouldn't watch again.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the quality of it deserves a high number, but I wouldn't start watching it because of the slow start, and I wouldn't want to see the end, so I probably wouldn't watch it again.
Okay. Just watch the middle when they just like in the desert, just walking.
Just walking around. Just Patrick Wilson walking through the desert. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
With a broken leg.
Mm-hmm. I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah? I can see why.
Yeah. The cheapness takes away a little bit. I wish it had a bit more of a budget, but maybe that made them spend it creatively, so I don't know actually. All the performance is great, the writing is excellent. So we had 100 episodes, and you liked a Western, and we got to a 7 out of 10. Gosh dang, gosh darn. Isn't it a beautiful life? Isn't it a miracle?
Right, so this was 99.
Yes.
What are we doing next, Dan?
It's graduation day.
It's graduation day.
We're gonna slowly, sadly march into our demise. We're gonna watch.
Like the people of Bone Tomahawk, we're gonna slowly march into our demise.
I'm gonna fake a limp. So we're gonna watch. We saw this in a previous episode, but now it's really coming up. We're watching Jack and Jill and Catwoman.
Yeah. Little backstory for those who, for some reason, haven't listening to episode 99 first. We both hate these films. These are our worst films of all time. I haven't seen Catwoman since its release. I didn't see it in the cinema, but I did see it like on DVD, I think, when it was first released into the world in disc format. How many times have you seen Jack and Jill?
One.
Yeah, I've seen Catwoman.
But I
once as
remember every scene somehow.
well. I remember 2 scenes, and they were both shit. Cool. So join us for episode 100 next time.
Yeah, and then we take a break after.
Yes.
Just a little month break, and then we'll be back, but with Rick's recommendation, which don't tell me, just surprise me. It's gonna be fun.
What surprised you on the day?
Yeah, surprise me on the day.
Put it in and be like,
put in the VHS.
put it in, and then we'll watch the film afterwards.
Why not? And more quality jokes like that in season 2 of I Hate Your Movie.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
Jimmy Chungus! They're making a run for the border!
Male academia.
I am not talking to you! I am talking to Aaron! Aaron, I gotta go make some chocolate squirties! Oh, God! Oh, hold it!
She represents the duality in all women. Docile yet aggressive. Nurturing yet ferocious.
Hey, Jill, can I talk to you for a second? No!